Top of the day to you on What's the Word Have You Heard? The word today is about spirits, evil spirits. What kind of characteristics that you have that may be in you or that you may see in others that you may not know that's in you. And we're going to use a story of our ancestors or the people that our ancestors encountered when we were told not to be equally yoked to them because they would make us maybe turn or act a certain way. And it's so crazy because some of us could relate because we grew up with some of these sayings that our parents and grandparents would say whenever we would bring friends home. They would always ask, baby, who's your people? Kind of thing. So you know exactly where I'm going with this. So today's story is about evil spirits. And are they found within us, or do we even know that we even have an evil spirit, or some type of characteristics that an evil spirit would give off? And so we do know a story that's written in the Bible that they talked about the spirit of Jezebel. Now, it's no such scripture as the spirit. It's no such scripture that's found that talked about the spirit of Jezebel. It's no such thing as a spirit of Jezebel. But they do deeply talked about the characteristics that she had, which was very wicked and evil, which, it is a spirit. We all have a spirit. Everyone has a spirit. Now, whether your spirit would be good or whether your spirit would be bad, that's to be seen. And that's how people would know what kind of person that you are by your characteristics. What do you give off? Okay. And so this particular character that was written in the Bible was called Jezebel. Jezebel was a princess. And back in the day, a lot of kings and queens would marry for alliances. Well, one of God kings that he had put in place to help his people, he married into a Canaanite or a Phoenician type alliance with this king, and he gave his daughter to be married to the king. So King Ahab married Queen Jezebel, and she came with all kinds of things that was in her culture and her beliefs of how and what they worshipped. And she, by being kings and queens, the people had to do what they say. And so she started telling them that they have to bow down or how to worship the gods that they worship, which, God's people only worship the one true spirit, God himself, the creator of heaven and earth. But they worship, the Canaanite and the Phoenician people had worshiped the God of Baal. They worship idols. And so today, like one of my coworkers told me that it's very prevalent today that the women has Jezebel spirits, and it's running rapid today. But as I start to look around and do my research on What's the Word Have You Heard, it's like some of these spirits and characteristics is found in men too. So it's a mixture in God's people and the people that's not of God. You would find these mixtures of characteristics. So this is the fast that we must fast if we have these things from us. Not fast from food, but fast from these particular characteristics that they may be, removed from us, from our spirit, that we may have more of a good spirit than of an evil spirit. And to give you an example, we all love what? The Child's Play, and better known as Chucky. So Chucky was a good doll. He was a good guy doll, but then they had this guy who, want to transfer his spirit, trying to escape, death. And his spirit, he summoned his spirit into a good guy doll. But this particular person, Charles Lee Ray, he worshiped Damballa or whatever it was. It's some type of voodoo a ritual or myth or God that they have. And he, manifested himself in such, but his characteristic was of this particular voodoo God that he worshiped. Now, we can't say, oh, you have the spirit of Chucky, because what spirit did Chucky have? You have the spirit of Jezebel, but what spirit did she have? Is it evil? Is it of God, or is it not of God? Is it more of a wicked and devilish spirit? So some of the characteristics in the story that we found in the word is hatred. So what kind of hatred? Do you have the hate for what? For others, it's just because who you are, you just was always feel angry and have hatred for other people. But why do you hate them? Have they done you anything? So if you have that particular characteristic in you, then you need to understand the difference and how to deal with that. Do things to, when I say fast, it means to refrain yourself. When you find yourself getting in that particular characteristic of that spirit, is you have to learn how to withdraw and learn how to deal with that. Why are you hatred? Come to terms with why do you feel this way? That way you can do away with that. Seduction was another thing that was in Jezebel. Okay, seduction. So are women or men seducing each other? What are you seducing them for? Are you trying to get your way? Why are you going to have the seduction on someone? What is you trying to do? I know she had that seduction on her because she was trying to get her way with everything. And part of her characteristics too was known as she was a murderer. If you didn't do what she say, she murdered you. She had you murdered. I know there's a lot of, those particular characteristics on TV that we watch and we think nothing of it. But then now it start being in the world that people be doing this for what? For clout. You know what I'm saying? Doing so other people could, think you like, oh, that person is so what's up. But is it, And she had the characteristic of calculation. You can calculate on a person, what they gonna do, where they gonna be, so you can size them up, And manipulation, you have people to feel sorry for you and, or manipulate them into believing such and such. And actually it's like half truths, which is more of a lie, just to manipulate them into believing or doing whatever you would have them to do. So you have to look within yourself to see whether or not it's wickedness found in you, but it's up to you. Maybe that's what you want to be. That's what you are. And, that's your choice to be wicked, but don't, understand that what happened to wickedness, same thing when you're good, you decide to have the characteristic of being, good. And we already know where a lot of people that murder, she murdered, Jezebel murdered for her husband. Her husband, Ahab, King Ahab, wanted this land that belonged to someone else, that this land was inherited, and he didn't want to sell it to the king. And so the king was all pouting. So Jezebel looked at him like, what is, you the king? Why are you pouting? And so she had this man murdered just to take his land to give to the king, And today, or in our ancestry times, a lot of this was going on. And I guess that's why I say it's kind of present today. Some of the things may not be as vicious as, she was, or, we might not see as much as that happening. But, it's a lot of stuff that's happening that we just really want to turn a blind eye to. And what about sexuality? We do all kinds of things to catch somebody's eye and, do all kind of sexual type things just to lure people in, just to, manipulate them, or cause, separations and families and breakups, in relationships and stuff like that, and some people just have this hatred or whatever in them that they don't mind doing that, it just, they don't care about someone else, but understand what you do to others, it can't be done back to you. When you do this to someone and then you finally find the true one that you love, guess what? It may be a situation that may happen just like you do to someone else. It can be, you have to look at the fact that it might be done to you. So just be mindful of the things that we do. Okay, so we know that our ancestors was taught to not to worship foreign idols, but nowadays we make everything out of an idol. But our ancestors, they're, made a way that was not, but it was their choice. And, they were told there would be consequences. And if you worship this idol or worship this could happen to you. And, just look back. You already know the answers in the stories. Don't be fooled by the world, whoever would tell you that this is not so if you, do this, because sometimes it can be a trick of the enemy. It's a trick of the evil one that would, say, oh, it's all right to worship. And it becomes a natural thing for us to do nowadays, to worship this and worship that. But now that you know better, you could do better, so you can see and understand that this is not good for you. But if that's what you want to do, it's your choice. But don't let others influence you unless that's your choice to do. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say no, especially with demonic influence. Some people would call it, I know back in the day, they used to call people was possessed. People was possessed by all these different type of demonic spirits or influences. Now today, everything is kind of like on low key, but then you have to really self-evaluate and look at yourself within to understand the differences of what's good and what's bad. Some people with like what we call throw the rock, but then hide the hand. And like, oh, I didn't do that. But, oh, yeah, you guilty. You know what I'm saying? You would look like you innocent and you would pretend that you didn't do that to start up some kind of mess. But then you did that, and that's wrong too. When you start being cunning and deceitful to others, then you'll know that, what type of person and what type of spirit. So this is what's the word have you heard? And this is our topic for today, to understand the difference and see whether these characteristics are found in you. But in this story, it's called Jezebel and King Ahab and all the different type of wicked things that was found in her. And that's where the world, came up with the spirit of Jezebel. But actually her spirit came from what she worshiped, which was a demonic spirit, the devilish spirit. They, gave themselves because they thought that, fertility and rain would come if they have all these different orgies, and gave themselves to, gods, and murdered and killed people. And they thought that would bring them power. And that's the same thing with the storyline behind, Chucky. They wanted to have all this power, and they didn't mind, killing and stealing and taking people's lives and doing all kinds of wicked things to people. So just be mindful that these spirits is not found in you, because you're a good person, right? Okay, we'll journey on, and we'll see you next time on What's the Word Have You Heard?